Hello and welcome to the show where today we'll be looking at streaming cameras.
Yes, it's commonplace these days to see cameras of all shapes and sizes with the ability to stream direct. But rewind 18 years when the term was webcasting, and it was JVC who pioneered the technology with their DV300U streamcorder way back in 2002.
Yeah, so called the streamcorder as it also recorded to DV tape while streaming. So many things have changed since then, of course, but the need to stream direct from a camera, whether it's in a studio or at a football match, has grown in demand over the years and especially now.
Yeah, and JVC have certainly not stood still since the early 2000s, allowing users to now stream directly to two of the world's largest social networks. And here to tell us more is John Kelly. Welcome to the show, John. Good to see you again.
Hi guys, good to be here.
So before we get too deep into product specifics, can you tell us a little bit about how the camera and acquisition market is for JVC at the moment?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, it's certainly been an interesting 6 months or so, and we've certainly seen some changes in demand from the market. I think what we've particularly seen is growth in use of small, compact professional camcorders, particularly actually those, for example, with SDI. You know, for I guess really a very wide range of applications where content's developed for remote production or for online distribution. So in areas like corporate, education, institution, sports production, and in live events. I mean, obviously, of course, those traditional audience type based live events are not really happening in the way we were familiar before. But I think there's particularly been a growth in, if you like, sort of performer only based live events for online streaming and distribution. So we've certainly seen quite an uptake in demand for cameras in those areas. I guess all of that sort of development of demand for online platform content also taken us sort of one step further away from traditional linear TV viewing as well.
Yeah, so as mentioned at the start of the show, streaming is now playing a major part in your cameras, in the features. Is that fair to say?
I mean, absolutely it is, yes. So I think in all the markets that we just mentioned there, that streaming is absolutely a key part of that. And we've seen a very significant increase again in that regard. So those kind of small professional cameras, but with that streaming capability built into as well. As you mentioned very kindly in your introduction, we've been a leader in this for, actually a very long time. And I am sadly old enough to remember the DV300 as well. But we've really progressed and innovated, I think, over a long number of years in that regard. And yeah, as I say, for all of those areas, corporate, sports, education, institution, live event production, we've seen a really broad uptake in streaming content production. And a few examples of that, maybe one I'd like to mention in particular is the use of our small compact streaming cameras for sports production. I know you recently talked to the guys at Southport FC, and they're actually a user of one of our cameras, a model called the HC550 ESB. And that's got what is actually a very unique feature. It's got integrated sports scoring. So what it allows us, a football club like Southport, for example, to actually create sports graphics, content, scoring actually within the camera itself. So it becomes a true single camera solution. So for that level of sports production, it provides a really affordable way to generate, really professional content for online distribution. And of course, I think the key point of that in particular is that it can and does add to the revenue stream. So you can very easily charge, of course, for that content on a game-by-game basis, for example. And actually, the camera we mentioned, the HM250 ESB, also supports things as well, like full screen graphics. So let's say, for example, before the match or at halftime, you could actually have full screen graphics, which could be sponsor logos, advertising or marketing. So that provides another revenue stream. So, we've seen a lot of uptake and increase in streaming applications for, a wide range of sports and other applications. That's certainly one example of that.
Yeah, we'll put a link to the Southport interview with Rob in the description of the video before, that they literally had a week before the start of the season, and with no streaming experience at all, they were able to get hold of the camera and actually successfully monetize the live streaming of the matches so far, and they continue to do that, which is really good.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it, because, as I mentioned, it is a single camera solution. You don't need, a separate graphics system or graphics operator. You can really do, as I mentioned, really professional level production with one camera with an internet connection. That's really all you need. Yeah.
So I would think that your latest 4K cameras are also part of this IP streaming demand.
Yeah, that's absolutely. So, and actually we've got a number of updates for our latest connected cam cameras, which is the HC500 and 550. I've got one here actually today, which some of you may be familiar with this particular camera. So these are 1-inch 4K HDR capable cameras. So, firstly, from a, let's say, creative content producer's point of view, you get really high quality acquisition from the front end with that really nice 1K 4-inch sensor. And what's also quite unique about the camera, it actually records optionally to SSD media. So, for example, here I've got a little caddy that goes in the back of the camera, and that will record 10-bit ProRes 422 to the camera. So you get really, really high quality images coming from this. But what the 500 and 550 do in addition to that, they also add in a really advanced IP feature set. So building on all the features and technology that we mentioned earlier and we've developed over the years. So that includes, for example, very high bit rate but low latency streams. It now supports, quite advanced features for broadcast and ENG and news production, like IFB return video and audio over IP. You've got full remote control capability over a simple web browser interface, FTP file transfer, and actually really long list of IP related features. And actually what's interesting and also new about the 500 and 550 at the moment, we've added in a number of new features, which includes, for example, direct streaming to Facebook Live and also to YouTube. So if you need, let's say, the benefits a professional camera offers you in terms of things like audio capability, image quality, and so on, but you still need that ease of use for a simple connection to social media platform, the 500 and 550 is perfect for that as well.
That's quite cool. So if we're shooting to edit later, we'd just be mindful of framing for vertical, horizontal, which square or vertical people watching. But when it's coming live direct from the camera, how does the HC500 series, the 500 and the 550, how does it handle it? How does it deal with it? What does it do?
Yeah, so actually that's another one of the new features of the camera that we just added with the latest update. So you can actually now shoot and stream it directly in, let's say, social media format. So that can either be a portrait style or in a 1-to-1 aspect ratio style. So again, it makes it really easy to produce content for social media. Again, with very high production values and quality you associate with a professional camera. There are presets inside the camera for both Facebook Live and for YouTube as well. So it's pretty much as simple as doing a sort of one-click publish to those platforms. You can still record whilst you're streaming on those formats. You can still record to 16:9 type HD. So you can still get all your editing capabilities within that once you've recorded it down to the media, of course. So we've certainly seen an increasing demand for higher quality content on social media, including, as I say, particularly things like audio, which is really important. And, you just can't achieve with a mobile phone type solution for social media content. And absolutely, we've seen a lot of interest in the 500 and 550 due to the inclusion of those new features, particularly in the current circumstances.
So what kind of applications, John, are the 500 and 550 cameras suited for?
Well, I mean, I guess it's a really wide range of customers because it has such a wide feature set, and you can sort of maybe split it into different areas if you like. I mentioned earlier, starting at the front end, you've got that 1-inch 4K HDR capable sensor, but it's married with 20 times zoom lens, and that gives you, a lot of flexibility, but still giving you that creative image control that the 1-inch 4K sensor gives you, but still with the convenience of a long zoom lens. And then, of course, we've also got, as I mentioned, the ProRes recording to 422 10-bit codec on SSD. So if you're a creative content producer, this is a really ideal camera for you. But equally, if you're more orientated towards news or ENG or live event type production, then all of the IP features I mentioned, so the high bitrate streaming, low latency, return audio and video, FTP file transfer, remote camera control, it's really suitable for those news ENG type productions as well. And I guess then thirdly, also the features we particularly added in with the latest updates, which is the support for direct streaming to Facebook Live or to YouTube, with the portrait mode or the one-to-one aspect mode, means it's perfect for maybe corporates who are maybe primarily producing content for social media. So, I mean, I guess you could say really the camera's in a very positive way a jack of all trades.
So that's the 500 series going everywhere. What about the 900 series cameras? You've got the shoulder mount studio-based camera.
Yeah, sure, that's right, Matt. So the 900 is in some ways the bigger brother, certainly physically, of the 500 and the 550. It's more of a traditional shoulder mount ENG studio style camera. You can add a fiber back into it for full OB or live production type use. It takes standard regular B4 HD broadcast type lenses, but it also has is really all of the core IP feature set that we've discussed already with the 500 and the 550. So if you do need those features in that more traditional shoulder mount style for those OB and live production type work, then certainly the 900 is absolutely ideal for that as well.
So this sounds like quite a substantial firmware update. When's it available and what's the cost to users?
So it's available now, and the good news is, as ever really with JVC, it's free of charge to our current users. I think we've got a really strong track history over the years of adding additional features to the cameras, always more or less always at no cost. And I think this is yet another example of that. So you can download it from the website. So whether it's a European website, which is eu.jvc.com/pro, or whatever your other local JVC Pro website is, just go onto the product page of the HC500 or the 550 or so on, and you'll find that firmware update free of charge to download there.
Just finally, we know that supply chains have been stressed in recent times, and of course this is a product that is going to be very popular, streaming, including obviously the camera we mentioned earlier, that Southport Football Club. How is the supply chain? Availability okay at the moment?
Yeah, it's pretty good at the moment. Certainly in the earlier part of the year. Then things slowed down a little bit, but absolutely in terms of general availability at the moment, then nearly all of our products are in stock. So absolutely, and certainly models that we discussed, HC500, 550, 900, and 250, and so on, absolutely all available at the moment.
Cool. No, it's good to know. So before we let you go, and we didn't do this to you last time, but you may or may not know about this now. Since we're an industry all about people and relationships, we've been asking all of our guests to tell us something about themselves that we, or any of your colleagues at JVC maybe, don't already know about you. Give us a secret.
Right. Okay. Right. I'm not sure what the other guests have said. Obviously, I'm far too modest to mention climbing Everest or swimming up the Amazon, so I'm not going to mention those things. I am going to mention my deepest, darkest secret, though. I have an absolute irrational fear and phobia of one particular thing, which most people find quite amusing when I mention it. Ladybirds. I am absolutely terrified of ladybirds.
Brilliant.
And obviously,
Okay.
this conversation is just between you guys, okay? There's three, so
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
mention anyone. But if ever want to get rid of me, and lots of people do sometimes, then that's the thing to bring in. I'm absolutely petrified of them.
Clearly, that's off the record.
Excellent.
Yes, indeed.
No one will know your darkest secret.
Indeed.
Thank you for watching today, and thanks to John from JVC for coming on the show. To see all of our video interviews and kit reviews, then head over to KitPlus TV, which is brought to you with the support of Mediaproxy, and you can find out more about them at mediaproxy.com. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.